a very dark night. One quiet evening, the forest slowly began to fall asleep. The sky turned deep blue as the sun disappeared behind the mountains. Normally, this was the time when the forest became magical. Tiny glowing fireflies would appear everywhere, lighting up the trees and paths like floating stars. But tonight, something was different. Benny looked around the forest and frowned. "It's so dark tonight," he said. Ruby looked up at the sky. "You're right," she said softly. "There are no fireflies. The missing lights. The forest felt unusually quiet without the glowing fireflies. The paths were difficult to see. Soon other animals began gathering near Benny and Ruby. A small squirrel looked worried. "The forest is too dark," the squirrel said. "We can't see the paths." A group of birds fluttered down from the trees. "The fireflies are missing," one bird said. Benny looked determined. "We should find them." Ruby nodded. "Let's follow the river. Fireflies love water." Searching the forest, Benny and Ruby began walking through the dark forest. The only light came from the glowing mushrooms growing near the tree roots. The forest looked mysterious and quiet. Soon they heard strange sounds coming from deeper in the woods. Suddenly, a twig snapped nearby. Benny and Ruby froze, their hearts pounding. A pair of large, yellow eyes blinked at them from the shadows of an old oak tree. Slowly, a wise old owl hooted softly and flew away, its eyes no longer watching them. They continued on, the path twisting and turning, making them feel lost in the deep, dark woods. The sound of buzzing. Ruby's ears perked up. "That sounds like fireflies." They followed the sound carefully, the dark swamp. After walking for a while, they reached the edge of a swamp. Tall reeds grew around dark water pools. Strange glowing plants floated on the surface, and suddenly Benny gasped. Hundreds of fireflies were trapped inside sticky swamp plants. Their lights flickered weakly. Ruby looked worried. "They can't escape." The rescue. Benny carefully stepped into the swampy ground. The mud was slippery and thick. Ruby stayed close and helped guide him. Benny gently pulled the sticky plants apart. One by one, the trapped fireflies began escaping. The tiny creatures fluttered happily into the air. Soon dozens of glowing lights filled the swamp. Ruby laughed with relief. "They're free." The forest lights returned as the last sticky plant opened. Thousands of fireflies flew up into the night sky. Their golden light spread across the forest like floating stars. The entire forest glowed again. Animals cheered happily. The paths were bright once more. Benny smiled proudly. "The forest lights are back." Ruby nodded. Even the smallest creatures can light up the whole forest. A peaceful ending as the night grew quiet again. The fireflies danced through the air. The forest sparkled with warm, glowing light. Benny and Ruby sat beside the river watching the beautiful sight. Benny looked at the glowing sky. Tonight the forest feels magical again. Ruby smiled softly. And it only took a little kindness to bring the light back. The fireflies continued shining across the forest, lighting the night for every animal who lived there. Moral: even the smallest helpers can bring light to the world.